Hello and welcome to Sincerely Elvis Presley. I'm Sean. Whether you're new to the channel or a regular viewer, thanks for tuning in today, I appreciate it. Last time I took a look at the classic Loving You from 1957, and this time we're staying in 1957 and yet another classic, the genius that is Jailhouse Rock. Probably one of the most recognisable Elvis movies to the general public, I'd say. You know, we're back to black and white territory from the Technicolor of Loving You, but you know, Elvis is learning his craft all the time. The character in Jailhouse Rock has a real tough edge to him, a real bitterness to him. You know, there's always a toughness to most of the dialogue. I mean, it starts out, you know, with him beating a guy to death and being put in prison because of it. All right, it wasn't intentional, but it almost sets its stall out from the time, you know, this right from the opening. This is a guy that's, you know, don't mess with him. You know, he's the one-liners in it, you know, there's a real tough edge to his portrayal. Probably King Creole. I think King Creole, there's probably more shade to the character. I think Jailhouse Rock is for me, is like his hard out, you know, toughest portrayal of a character. Great songs in Jailhouse Rock. As with Loving You, not really enough for a full album. So with Jailhouse Rock, they went for EPs, or an EP. Now, I don't have any originals to share at all in terms of the vinyl, but I've got a couple of later represses here that are public domain. So the first one here is on wax time in colour, so we get a reasonably faithful recreation of the EP cover. We get all of the fantastic songs from Jailhouse Rock, Young and Beautiful, I Want to Be Free, Don't Leave Me Now, You're So Square Baby, I Don't Care, and Treat Me Nice. Everyone an absolute stone cold classic, I'm sure you'll agree. Being public domain release, we get that padded out. So side one, we get Teddy Bear and Lonesome Cowboy from Loving You, and then we get a whole second side with I Beg of You, Don't, Playing for Keeps, Shake, Rattle and Roll, Good Rockin' Tonight, I Don't Care If the Sun Don't Shine, That's When Your Heartaches Begin, and All Shook Up. And we do get some of the original liner notes from the EP. And being a wax time in colour, of course it's in colour, so this one's on red vinyl. And the other contemporary pressing I have, re-release on public domain stuff, is a sort of facsimile of this release, which was Jailhouse Rock and his South African hits. And on this one we get Love Me Tender, Poor Boy, Let Me, We're Gonna Move, and Don't on the first side. Then Party, I Want You, I Need You, I Love You, Don't Be Cruel, Love Me, Heartbreak Hotel, All Shook Up, Hound Dog, I Beg of You, One Night, Paralysed, and There'll Be Peace in the Valley for me. So, you know, nice little contemporary repressings of originals that would be a pretty penny or two by now and hard to get hold of. And being public domain, this one is on blue vinyl. So there's the Jailhouse Rock recordings that I have. Now, in terms of the movie itself, what am I going to get out? Of course I'm going to get out the Blu-ray. The only way to watch Jailhouse Rock. This is a really nice transfer, really great quality. Can't go wrong with the Blu-ray. Pretty easy to pick up. So, let's have a look at some publications that cover, and there are a few, to say the least, the Jailhouse Rock, and quite rightly so. So one of the earliest ones here is Jailhouse Rock, Inside Jailhouse Rock, Jim Hannaford and Rijff. And this one is 1994. Quite difficult to get hold of, I'd say, this one, but a really nice publication. There's, as with the Inside Loving You that I showed last week, there's 3 of these that sort of centre on the first 3 proper movies, if you like, and each one of them is well worth adding to the collection if you can. I always thought it was interesting how Elvis's hair was quite radically different in this to it had been before. To my mind, it looked a lot thicker, whereas it was greased and used to flop a lot. It's quite thick in this one. I don't really know what had been done differently, but I think it's quite thick there with the fresh fish special. But yeah, his hair definitely looked thicker in Jailhouse Rock, and I think Jailhouse Rock photographs are really easy to date from the hairstyle that Elvis has there. It's definitely it's still got the sideburns. It does fall down on his forehead from time to time, but not in the same way that that it did before, or even later in King Creole. It's definitely, I wonder if he started using I wonder if they had some sort of different product or something in it to make it thicker and a bit more solid. But yeah, it's definitely very characteristic, I think, Elvis's hair in Jailhouse Rock. Yeah, they ain't tactics, honey, that's just the beast in men. Absolute classic scene. Some of these photographs are rather small, but you know, you get them quite a lot. And just what a movie! What a movie! I think I said last time, I think it's difficult for me to choose my favourite amongst the second, third, and fourth movies. Just yeah. Baby, I Don't Care. That's the scene where sometimes Scotty Moore has sunglasses on and sometimes he doesn't, depending on how they've cut the shot. So you can even see it there, look. So there he is without. And there he is with. You see it sort of fluctuates between the two during the actual sequence, which is quite amusing. But yeah, we do get to see the character Vince's softer side right at the end. You know, there's almost like the redemption at the end for that character, isn't there? After being quite hard nosed all the way through it, and sort of only interested in himself because, as far as he's concerned, that's the only way to survive. And then he kind of realised that towards the end, the redemption is that he needs people and he cares for people. So there's Inside Loving You. As I say, it does turn up. It's gonna be, I'd say, £50 plus if you find a nice copy. It does turn up, but is quite hard to get. And then this is a Joseph Tunzi title. Elvis Presley, Jailhouse Rock, Greater Than Ever. And actually, this is also with Jim Hannaford, that was with Rijff in the other book. So Jim Hannaford, I think, writes the text in both books, and Rijff and Joe Tunzi kind of act as the publisher and provide a lot of the photographs, or certainly for the Tunzi one. So let's have a little look at Greater Than Ever. And this is 2009, so getting on a bit. But another one that's pretty hard to get hold of. and you're certainly not going to see any change out of £50 upwards for this title. It becomes a bit of a choice, doesn't it? How many books do I need on the same topic? And for me, it comes down to what that topic is. So if it's something that I really, really love, so movies like this, I don't mind having multiple titles covering the same thing, because I think, you know, they've all got their own angle, they've all got something else to bring. And if you're like me, if it's something that you adore, can't get enough of, then you will have multiple titles on it. I must say, so far, having looked at this one, I'm seeing a lot of familiar shots. A lot of familiar shots. The sort of shots that appear in any Elvis biography. So I don't think this is really pulling out anything particularly rare in terms of the photos it's shown. Certainly not from what I'm seeing, but it is nicely put together. Various wardrobe stills, deleted movie scene. Behind the scenes. Publicity photographs. And of course, Judy Tyler tragically killed shortly after the movie was completed, and was the reason that Elvis would never watch it. See what can. Definitely that hair is a lot thicker and seems to... It's not the first time I've been obsessing about Elvis's hair in one of my videos. You know what I mean, don't you? This is definitely thicker in this. It almost looks like different hair, because there's a wave going along the side that... It's got to be the product. Maybe the you know, it wasn't as, the grease didn't make it as slick. Not sure. Yeah, a nice book, but you'll have seen, as I just saw, that there's not really anything picture-wise in here that you won't see anywhere else. But nevertheless, a really nice volume, the Joe Tunzi one. And then we move on to this one. Now this Jailhouse Rock frame by frame. This is Flaming Star Publications, and this is kind of a joint. So you've got Paul Granlund that does a lot of the FTD books, and then you've got Eric Lorentzen, and it's published by Lorentzen. And I think this is kind of seen in some ways. I think they were intending to kind of do every movie in a frame by frame title, but that never materialised. We got this and King Creole, and that was it. But these were sort of almost FTD books that weren't FTD books, because they're not FTD productions. But I think maybe the involvement of Paul Granlund sort of gives them that cash out of the FTD, as he does so many titles for them. But this is containing more than 600 classic and rare photographs from his greatest movie ever. What do we think? Greatest movie ever? It's not far off, but contentious to call it that, I'd say. So I still think it's probably his most recognisable in terms of the general public. if you ask the general public who are not particularly Elvis fans to name an Elvis movie, you probably would find they come up with Jailhouse Rock, I'd say. So, some of the publicity photographs. You get the cast and crew, facts and songs, unknown stories, and that's by Jim Curtin, who's was a huge Elvis fan and collector. Produced quite a few books in his own right. A review at the time, I would have thought. Then we get the cast broken down, so you get a piece on Judy Tyler, Mickey Shaughnessy, Vaughn Taylor. Really, really nicely put together. And then you get frame by frame, and it takes you, literally does exactly does that. You get, you get taken through. Obviously, you don't get every frame because the book would be massive, but it's almost like a drawn out scene by scene with the script down below as well. So you get to see the movie unfolding through the book, which I think is a really nice little feature. Certainly not something you see often. And it's just, choosing to do it this way, they're able to lay on, the layout's beautiful. The way you get all these layers of the pictures, and you get some little in-between bits as well, sort of stepping out. So there you're sort of stepping outside the film and seeing some of the production. But it's just really, really good. This really good. This is one that does turn up from time to time. Sound like a stuck record, but it is getting harder to get your hands on. You're probably looking, I'm going to hazard a guess at £100 plus for this these days. But there's nothing else quite like it. Nothing else quite like it. The way it does it, I think, is really ingenious. I wish they had if they'd have done every single movie like this, so you'd have every one of those movies able to call up that would be amazing. Heck of an undertaking, but I really wish they'd done that. Sadly, we've only got the two. Look at that. Just look at all those. I think if this had been a smaller format, it wouldn't have worked. Those photographs would be too small on the page. But as it is, just a spectacular book. Beautiful. I'm kind of trying to take the approach that they often do when I'm looking at books on a particular subject. So I kind of start out with the smaller ones and maybe some of the older ones, and kind of work my way through to the sort of 5-star luxury ones, if you like. And this is fantastic. I'm not decrying the two that I've looked at just then. They're good books, but I don't think they can compete with this. Its scale and its scope, just fantastic. Glorious, 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 glorious film, glorious soundtrack, glorious period in Elvis's career, and some glorious books to document it. Cannot go wrong. Let me get some publicity shots. And what publicity shots they were. Just awesome. So, yeah, if this isn't one that's in your collection, you get the chance to own it. You know what I'm going to say. I'm going to heartily recommend this one. I think it's a must-have. It's so well done. Jailhouse Rock, frame by frame. Utterly fantastic. So, brings us on to the daddy of them all. Brings us on to FTD's The Making of Jailhouse Rock. Excuse me. Now, what can I say? You know, these making of sets, they just do it in such a fantastically elaborate, luxurious way. It's a job to know how to praise them highly enough. This was the first of these making ofs that went into, you know, such depth as this. We had the making of Viva Las Vegas before it, but that was only one book. It wasn't a hefty volume like this. Of course, since we've had Blue Hawaii and recently King Creole, but this was the first that gave us a double set, really, with, let's have a look. Oh, the usual weight. So we start with book one, The Making of Jailhouse Rock, the music. So this gives us, when you first open it up, you get a facsimile of the Vince Everett Treat Me Nice record that was made during the movie. So that's a really nice little touch. And then at your back, you get no less than 3 CDs. You get pretty comprehensive sessions of the Jailhouse Rock music and outtakes. I'm not sure whether it's 100% complete, but it's pretty darn good, you know, for what you get in there. And then on top of that, so because this is the music, we get a book that's dedicated to the music of Jailhouse Rock. So just packed with information, all sorts of snippets around the recording of the soundtrack of Jailhouse Rock. I love those photographs of Elvis at the drum kit. He looks like he's having a blast. Get to see Elvis in the studio recording the soundtrack, which is not something that would continue for long. Shortly afterwards, certainly through the 60s, you very rarely saw any actual photos taken inside the recording studio, but in the 50s it happened a lot more. Details on the recording session itself, just a superlative set, and just takes you into huge amounts of detail about the tracks, about the recording, about the false starts. Just, you know, you couldn't really ask for more. It's brilliant, utterly brilliant. You know, if this was just a standalone release, this hardback book with the facsimile single, all the details and the CDs, you think you were getting something special. But, you know, add this to the book on the film itself, and it's just the gold standard. As good as that Jailhouse Rock frame by frame was, you know, this one just tops it. So that's your book on the music, the making of the music. And then you get your book on the making of the movie. And this weighs a ton. Weighs an absolute ton. I love all the little quotes you get. I asked for nothing, I expected nothing, I got nothing. There's Vince Everett's take on life in a sentence there. But being FTD, the quality of the photography, the reproduction of the photography, utterly stunning. Just, I had the Jailhouse Rock frame by frame book prior to getting this, and you know, I was so blown away when I got that one. But when this one was announced, and I don't think I got this absolutely straight away. I didn't get it too long after it had been out, but I didn't get it absolutely straight away because I'm in an hour and thinking, well, is it going to be more of the same? And I should have known better because it's an FTD release. So anything that's the same is kind of switched up to 11 in terms of quality. Just beautiful. Ooh. Beautiful and noisy. You can see that these quite often don't come out, so they're creaking a bit. What's going on? Somebody's opening this. This doesn't happen often. We usually just sit on the shelf. But at least Harold, mine are open. They're not sealed. Just saying. There you go. Don't think that jacket with the... I don't think that's particularly flattering. Elvis would always look cool, but I don't think that did him too many favours with the belt. These ones are very, very difficult to hold up. Anyone that's tried to do this on a volume this weight will tell you how difficult these are to hold up to a camera. So I do my best. Hopefully it's not too jarring an experience to see that. But yeah, I sometimes run out of superlatives for these books because they are so well done. They cost a lot of money, yeah, they do. When they come out, they cost a lot. I think this is kind of like most of these big book box sets are, probably about £199, I want to say, when it came out. You'll pay more for that now, and that's if you can find one. They do turn up from time to time. If you get one anything like the original asking price, snap it up, because you'll have got yourself a bargain. We all know that For That Dream books shoot up in price because, unfortunately, again, as we all know, they don't reproduce them, they don't repress them. I don't know why, because there'd definitely be a market for them, but for whatever reason they don't, which is a real shame. But yeah, the making of Jailhouse Rock, I cannot praise the set highly enough. So you've got the making of Jailhouse Rock, you've got Jailhouse Rock frame by frame, you've got Jailhouse Rock Greater Than Ever, and you've got Inside Jailhouse Rock. An utterly fabulous little selection of books, I think, on an utterly fabulous movie. Certainly way up there amongst Elvis's best. And, you know, on any given week, as far as I'm concerned, I may well rate it as his best. It's a hard one, but it's just fantastic from start to finish. It's a brilliant watch, and of course you've got that unique dance sequence in the middle, which is kind of the only real time in Elvis's entire Hollywood career that you see almost a full Hollywood production dance number that he had a great input into himself, apparently. But yeah, Jailhouse Rock, what more can you say? One of the absolute greatest, a pinnacle not only of Elvis's movie career, but I think of rock and rock and roll movies, you know, because Hollywood did start to churn them out, and this is right at the very top of that tree. It's fantastic. I think we'll all agree. So yeah, that's what I've got on Jailhouse Rock. So I guess we better have a look at King Creole next time and finish off those 50s movies. It seems silly not to, doesn't it? So I really hope that was enjoyable. I hope you enjoyed having a little look through some of the stuff I have on Jailhouse Rock. If you did like it, it'd be great if you could click on the old thumbs up for me. And if you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so. Let's have a look at King Creole next time, shall we? Have yourself a great week. Take care. Till next week. Ta-da.
We'll meet you again. May God bless you. Adios.